Author is funded by the Pacific Northwest Writers Association, supporting writers from pen to publication since 1955. To learn more about the PNWA and their yearly conference, please go to pnwa.org. Hi, this is Bill Kenower of Author Magazine, and today I'm at the University Bookstore in Seattle, Washington with Mary Cronk Farrell, author of Standing Up Against Hate. Mary, welcome to Author.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me.
When did you think this writing thing is pretty cool?
Well, I started in broadcasting. I was a television news reporter. I was at Cairo, actually. I was a reporter at Cairo.
In Seattle?
Yes. And in Spokane at Channel 4 KXLY. And I loved it.
You did? Why? Just loved the
adrenaline. Yeah. I loved doing a new thing every day.
Yeah.
And I loved having it be done that day. Everything had to be done by 5 o'clock. Good, bad, in between, it was over. That was I really liked that.
But did that involve were you doing also the writing, or were you just the pretty face?
I was writing. I was
writing
doing
your own copy.
My own copy. And actually what I came to love about it, I always loved the writing in terms of you've got a minute and a half to tell a story that's going to grab somebody.
Yeah.
But what I really came to love about it was the interface, and this is television, between the audio and the video and
like the production of it.
And my words, and how they all came together to cause an impactful moment.
That is fascinating. I totally get it. And I bet you that has to be a precursor to your writing, to your not writing storytelling, because there's always the question of how much story can I tell in the shortest amount of time possible, even when you're writing a book, yeah?
Yeah, right. Well, I like to think of it, it's just a condensation, with everything.
Yeah.
Well, someone said, someone famous who I don't remember, that a novel is the absolute shortest way you can say the particular thing you're trying to say.
When did you say, I want to try this writing thing, this storytelling thing?
Well, it actually started when I had my kids, and I decided first to work part-time,
right.
And then I decided, I'm just not getting the laundry done. I've got to,
I got to just cool for a little while.
So I stayed home with my kids, and my idea was, because I thought I had the skills, I was going to write newspaper articles.
Sure.
So I did start writing. I wrote for the local newspaper in Spokane, and I wrote some magazine articles, and I had this. I loved to read as a kid, but I could never think of a job that I would want to do, because I didn't back then think of a news reporter, but I wanted, I needed to have an exciting job.
Right.
And so I'd say to my Mom, I don't know what I can be. She goes, well, you're going to be a writer. You're going to write books.
Your mom said that.
My mom said that. And I'd say, to me, at that time, this is how old I was, how old I am, being a writer meant sitting in a room by yourself with a typewriter.
Right.
And I thought,
boring.
Who would want to do that?
Yeah, you got to be out there in the field.
Yeah, so I never even considered, but except maybe in the back of my mind, I thought, when I retire, maybe I'll write some books for kids.
I'll write my memoir. Oh, for kids? Are you already thinking for kids?
Yes, because I loved books as a kid, and to me, they're the height of writing.
Right.
So all I can say is I'm really glad I didn't wait until I retired, because let's just say the move from television news to writing even nonfiction books, and even then I'm writing fiction, that's a chasm.
You're starting a whole, you do know how to use words, that's a good start, but to tell a story that way, totally different skill set.
I thought, I know how to write. I'll whip out this picture book.
Okay. Everybody thinks that. Everybody thinks that. Oh, that's so funny. But what drew you to the nonfiction, first of all? Was it just your journalistic background?
I think so. What drew me to it precisely was I had a cousin who I'm really close to who was in nursing school. And going back, as a middle-aged woman trying to get a degree in nursing.
Right.
So she had written this paper, and she knew I was a writer, and she said, Mary, I'm really proud of this paper I wrote, and I want you to read it. She emailed it to me, and I didn't have time to read it for 6 months. And when I read it, it was about nurses, American nurses, who were captured prisoner of war by the Japanese during World War II. And my head went like, what? Why didn't I learn that in school?
Right.
So I thought, well, maybe it was 1 or 2 nurses and they were captured for a week. No, it was 70, 80 nurses captured for 3 years, nearly starved to death. I couldn't not do it.
Wow. See, isn't that the best feeling? Isn't that the most, how can you be more confident when you have something you can't not do? It's like you are compelled from elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling. Mm-hmm. And so talk to me about Standing Up to Hate. That's the most recent book. How did that get started for you?
Well, while I was writing Pure Grit about the American nurses, it was very present to me the whole time that all those women were white.
Right.
And it was because black women or women of color would not be...
weren't allowed into
the
nurses'
to be
corps
in the nurses' corps.
in the Second World War.
Right,
Yeah.
right. They were eventually, before the end of the war, they were
Right.
accepting blacks, but
Probably
not...
had to.
Yeah.
No, seriously, they probably
They were. They were short. They
Yeah.
were the wounded were coming
Yeah,
in, and
yeah.
they needed nurses. But so while I was researching that book, I found out about this group of women. They call themselves the 6888. It's a postal battalion, and this is a group, the only all-black Women's Army Corps unit that was assigned overseas during the war.
Wow.
And there were 880 in that group, so it was a large group. And I sort of had the same feeling about, I never thought about black women in World War II before.
Right.
And here they had this,
I have no image of a black woman in uniform at that time.
Exactly.
I mean, in later wars, yeah, but not in that war.
Exactly.
But they were, but they
And
existed.
that was just kind of the same thing. People need to know this.
Right. And so you had that same kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And so what is the hardest part of writing a story for you? What's the part that you struggle with the most?
Well, I think the hardest part for me is that the stories, I don't write any fluffy stories for some reason. I have to write.
Clearly not.
Yeah, and I try to write something light, and I just can't.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Forget
So what's challenging for me, and it happened with Fanny Never Flinched, and it happened with Pure Grit, and it happened less with this latest book, although no. What's hard for me is that through the research and taking that and being able to write it, I really have to put myself in
the character's
the
shoes.
position
Yeah.
of the people I'm writing about.
And they're in some bad situations.
It takes a toll. There have been times when I've just sat and cried at my keyboard. But that's hard, but it's not like something I don't like. That is an important part of the process.
But that's good. It's good, Mary. That means you're feeling it. It just means you're feeling it, so it's okay. No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. All right, Mary, I got one more question for you. Now, you know this question probably. I may have asked it to you before, but I'm going to ask it again. I want you to finish this sentence. If writing has taught you anything, it's taught you what?
That you just have to trust. You just have to let go and trust.